Good morning and welcome to the live webinar, Start a Business and Make Money in 30 Days. This is going to be such a blast. You are going to learn such great stuff on this webinar, and you are going to be able to take this stuff. It's actionable stuff. It's simple stuff. You're going to be able to take it. You're going to be able to go right out into the world and do real stuff with the material that you're learning on this webinar today. So definitely pay close attention. The first thing I want to do is I want to ask you to just let me know if you are able to hear me, because I want to make sure that, oops, I got an echo going on here. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I had the thing playing. I had my own webinar playing on my own computer, which is really confusing. Anyway, I want to ask you to pay really close attention because this is really good stuff. And I want to make sure that you get the most possible value out of it that you possibly can. So just a couple of housekeeping items. Audio levels, if you can hear me and you can see the slides, type into the chat box. Just say, yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can see the slides. And good morning or something like that, because I just want to make sure that we've got everything working correctly. We don't have any goofy audio issues or technical issues, and that everything is looking good. All right, now the next thing that I want to talk about is questions. So if you have any questions as we go along, just type them right into the chat box, which you see right below the video on this page that you're watching, and I will get to them just as quickly as I can. Sometimes I can't get to the questions right away because I'm in the middle of sort of presenting some material, and you know, it's hard to kind of pay attention to the questions and present the material in a way that's coherent. So, but go ahead and type your questions in, and I will get to them just as soon as I possibly can. And then also know that there's a little bit of a delay in the video that you're seeing here. So what you're hearing me say now and what you're seeing is actually what I said and presented about 10 to 12 seconds prior. So that can be a little bit awkward in the chat if you're just not aware of that. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then finally, pay really close attention. So this is really, really good stuff. This is stuff that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're certainly not going to get it concentrated like you are here. And you're not going to get anything that is going to just give you the most, such an extremely quick and effective way to start a business and really get you right onto the path to success. And finally, I want to let you know that I am indeed live. This is me sitting here in my office, excuse me, in St. Louis on March 28th, 2015. It is a cold morning here in St. Louis. It is unseasonably cold. It is not supposed to be this cold in March. I'm not very happy about that, but you know, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So we're just going to go ahead and focus on delivering this great webinar and forget about the cold weather that is not supposed to be. So that is proof positive that I am indeed live. I don't want you to think that this is one of those silly pre-recorded webinars like some people do. I'm not trying to trick you into thinking that I'm actually live when I'm not. I am actually live. Here I am, proof positive, March 28th, 2015. But you don't want to look at me all day. You want to look at this great material. So I'll switch it back to the slides. There we go. All right, now let's get into it. Let's start with the agenda for today. So the first thing that you might be wondering is, who in the heck is this guy? Who is Jeff Steinemann? Why is he telling me all this information? Well, I am going to answer that question for you. And then the other thing that we're going to really focus on today is, who has this stuff worked for? We are not just going to give you a bunch of silly theory and stuff out of books. We're going to show you examples of people who have actually used these techniques and that it has actually worked for, and you're going to see the amazing results that they've gotten with it. Now, you're also going to learn how to identify a great business idea. One of the things that I hear from folks so often is, I don't know what kind of business I want to start. I've got all these ideas floating around in my head, but I don't know which one is any good. And I don't know if the one that I'm thinking about will actually work. Well, you're gonna learn how to identify that business idea that is great and, most importantly, that actually works. Now, if you already have an idea and you are going down the path and you're saying, you know what, I have got this idea, I want to start this business. This is what I want to do. I am super excited about it. Well, if that's the case, we're going to help you figure out if that idea that you have is any good. And I'm going to be really blunt and really frank here and say, you know what? There's a decent chance, there's a really good chance that that idea is no good. That idea simply may not be any good. And that doesn't mean that you can't start a business. That doesn't mean that you can't be successful. It just means that you need to use the techniques that we teach you in How to Quit Working to take that business idea from where it's at, change it, evolve it, tweak it, and make it a really great idea. Now, you're also going to learn how to be certain that your business is going to work before you quit your job. So this is one of the biggest reasons why people don't quit their job. I mean, I know what you're thinking. I was in your place. You're sitting there thinking, you're like, well, I've got these bills to pay and the mortgage. There's got to put gas in the car. I got to put food on the table. Maybe I have to feed these kids. I've got to pay the electric bill. I have all these expenses that I have to pay, and my job is what generates the money to create that. And how can I transition to something else if I'm just not certain that it's going to work? Well, there's no such thing as certainty in business or entrepreneurship, but we are going to get you as close to certain as possible with the techniques that we're talking about today. Now, how to get huge results. Now, brace yourself for some really amazing, mind-boggling content on this webinar. It's crazy awesome stuff. It's stuff that most successful entrepreneurs say, gosh, I wish I had this when I was first getting started. But the reality of it is, I am going to do my best to hold this right around 90 minutes. And I certainly cannot give you everything that I have on this webinar in only 90 minutes. So towards the end, you're going to learn how you can go farther with these techniques and how you can get more out of this in terms of our How to Quit Working group program, which you're going to learn about and you're going to love hearing about because it's really great. And you're going to see all of the amazing resources and people that you get access to in the Shift program. Now, the folks who get really huge results are the ones who invest in themselves. So really give it some thought, but we're going to talk more about that at the end of the webinar. Now, first of all, who is Jeff? Well, I am the author of the #1 best-selling book called How to Quit Working, which is a simple plan to quit your job for a life of freedom. Late last year, we hit #1 on Amazon. It was #1 in the job hunting and careers advice, and then also in work-life balance. It was really fun to hit #1, really fun to see that book and that these ideas getting out to more and more people. But I'm also a freedom fanatic. I believe that there is really only one thing that matters in life, and that is the ability to pursue our own interests, no matter what our interests may be, whether it's a hobby or spending time with your family or a cause that you believe is important or your church or religious activities, whatever it is that is important to you, I believe it is your right to pursue that 100% and to be able to spend as much time as humanly possible doing that and not work a job 40 hours a week and then take all the things that you really care about and fit them around that. That doesn't make any sense. I'm also an entrepreneurship fanatic, but only to the extent that it enables freedom. I do think entrepreneurship is a lot of fun. There's a lot of things I enjoy about it, but the bottom line is it's really only a means to the end of freedom. Now, I'm also a business and marketing consultant and real estate investor. Now, I have interviewed nearly 200 successful entrepreneurs on the How to Quit Working show. Many folks who were on this webinar probably are listeners of the How to Quit Working show, so you're familiar with it. You may have heard me interview folks like John Shear, the founder of Video Professor. John created this amazing company back in the 80s that was one of the first companies to really teach people how to use those computers that they had sitting on their desktop. And he taught us some really great marketing and business lessons on the show. We had Debbie Travis, who is a television host who really invented the category of home decorating and home decor television back in the 90s when it did not exist. She just had this idea and this thing that she did decorative painting on the walls at her house and her friends and family's houses, and she turned that into a VHS video series, and from that sprung an entirely new networks and a whole category of television programming. we had David Klein on the show. David Klein is the guy who invented the Jelly Belly jelly bean that everybody has probably had one of, maybe even recently. David is not only a candy fanatic, but he is a huge entrepreneur fanatic and taught us some amazing lessons about business and entrepreneurship. We also had Jennifer Page. She wrote and performed a little song called Crush, which if you were anywhere near a radio a couple years ago, you would have heard Jennifer performing that song. She toured all over the world with that song, and she's created this amazing podcast now where she is helping other people who want to get into the music business to do so successfully. And she wants to take all of the stuff that she learned on her journey and give everyone else the benefit of that as they move forward on their journey. Also talked to Dan Pena. He made millions in oil. He has been independently wealthy since the early 1990s. And the only thing that he cares about now, well, not the only thing, but one of the biggest passions in his life now is helping other people to experience the same success that he has had. He came on the show and he shared a lot of great business lessons with us, as well as really important life lessons. As he just turned 70, he has had a very long and successful life, and he is nowhere near stopping. He's got a lot more on his agenda. So some of the really cool people that I've had the chance to interview on the How to Quit Working show, and you have the chance to listen to that and get all of the wonderful business advice that those folks share. And just by listening to the show, it's really it's really become an amazing platform. Now, I am also a contributor to the Huffington Post, Life Hack, and Elite Daily, as well as having been featured on several major media sites, as well as How to Quit Working. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my story, because you might be wondering, okay, where'd you come from and how did you get to all this stuff? Now, I started out, I grew up in a small town in the Midwest, and we didn't know much about entrepreneurship. We didn't know much about business. All we knew is that you would go to college and you get a job. Well, maybe you go to college. My parents certainly did not, but that was the expectation for me. But you go to college and you get a job and you work that job for 55 years or so, and then you retire. And that was the only way that we knew of life. And the interesting thing is that I never could get really very excited about that. So as I went to college, I ended up spending quite a long time trying to get my college degree because I just couldn't get excited about anything that I was doing. I couldn't see the point of it. I couldn't. It didn't gel for me at all. So I bounced around from college to college and ended up finally in the late 1990s getting really lucky and landing a job in technology. So I began working with computers, and shortly thereafter began managing programs and projects, and eventually ended up managing some of the largest technology, banking technology mergers that have occurred in the industry on the website side. So I was able to stumble into a really successful career, but while it was successful, it was really never fulfilling to me. And I remember the first time that I sort of realized that it just wasn't working for me. And that was in probably 2001. I had been working for a couple of years. I'd had some success in the corporate world at that point. I had moved up the ladder a little bit, and I had begun to see what success in the corporate world was going to look like. And what was interesting was very quickly I said to myself, I don't think that this is what I want out of life. I think I want more out of life. So I actually began working on a business idea, and I began working on this idea. I did a bunch of research. I had made a few investments and was really ready to move forward with it. And I was so ready, in fact, that I made an appointment with my boss. It was, I'll never forget, it was on a Thursday morning. And it was at 8 o'clock, and I got in to the office a little bit early that day. I got in at about 5 or 10 minutes before, and I remember sort of sitting down at my desk and realizing, okay, well, this is this is the big moment. You're going to do this in a second here. So I walked down the hall to the conference room where the meeting was going to be held, or where my meeting with my boss was. And I went into the room and I sat down and I had my resignation letter typed up and was in my little leather bound folder that I carried with me, sort of sitting in front of me on the table. And my boss wasn't there yet. And I sat there for a few minutes and he finally came in. And you could tell he was really in a hurry that day. He just really wanted to get this employee meeting over and get on with the rest of the things that he had going on that day. So he came in and he sat down and he kind of gives me this look like, okay, Jeff, get to the point. What is this meeting about? And I sat there and I remember kind of looking into his eyes, and he had this look on his face like, just get to it. And I knew that this was kind of the moment when I was going to have to make a really pivotal decision in my life. And I remember the moment very clearly. And I remember all of the thoughts and the anxiety that was running through my brain and how scary it was to think about making this shift. And as I was sitting there under that immense amount of pressure to make a decision, I completely chickened out. I just made up some other silly reason why I had asked for the meeting. And meeting lasted, 10 or 15 minutes. And I went back to my desk and I remember sitting down there and I remember thinking to myself, well, I guess you're not going to do this. You're not going to become an entrepreneur. You're not going to start your own business. You're just going to go back to that path of working, and you're going to do that for, another 45 years, and then you can retire. And I told myself, I was like, well, this is what you've chosen. You've got to be comfortable with this. So I did sort of kind of get comfortable with it. I just sort of said, okay, this is what it's going to be. So I might as well start climbing this corporate ladder. So I climbed the corporate ladder, a lot of raises, a lot of promotions, ended up making very good money. And as I said, I ended up managing some very large technology conversions for major mergers, which was fun and interesting stuff, but never really fulfilled me, never really gave me the life or the satisfaction that I really wanted out of life. And so about 7 or 8 years after that event, I really began to step back and say, okay, I can't be resigned to this forever. I've got to figure out a way to make something else happen. And so I started looking and trying to figure out how to make something work. I tried to figure out how could I maybe get something going on the side, and and then get some momentum on the side so that when I quit, I could have some money coming in. I could have at least a proven idea, a proven concept. So I did a lot of research. I began reading, studying everything that I could get my hands on about business and entrepreneurship. Now, by that point, the internet was pretty prevalent. So we had podcasts and we had videos on YouTube. We had ebooks and we had obviously regular books and all kinds of resources that I could get my hands on. And what happened was I ultimately ended up putting together a business structure for my business and marketing consulting firm, which I launched in late in 2011, and then in 2012, it was actually April 13th, 2012, I resigned for good. I went in and I did that same thing. I went into a meeting room with my boss, and only this time I did it very successfully, and I have not looked back ever since. Really what How to Quit Working is about it's about what's the difference between that failed attempt at quitting my job and starting a business in 2001 and that successful event in 2012. And I think really there's a lot of really simple things that we need to know and we need to understand, and different ways to look at business life and entrepreneurship so that we can approach starting a business in a way that will be successful. So let's get down to the real question. The real thing that you're wondering about is how can How to Quit Working help you? Well, I want to start with who we can't help. So we can't help anyone who has the victim mentality. And when I say the victim mentality, what it really comes down to is there's two types of people in this world. There are people who believe that they and they alone are responsible for the outcomes that they get in life. And then there are the other people who believe that other people are responsible for the outcomes that they get in life. Now, it doesn't matter what your mentality is or how you think. People are going to do things to you that are unfair, that are unkind, that are mean, that are maybe even illegal. But the difference is how you have to frame up how you look at that. And there are certain people who look at where they are in life and they believe that their position and what they have and what they do, their situation, whether it's financial, emotional, personal, relationships, whatever it is, some people believe that they are there because of somebody else. Some people believe that they are there because of themselves and the decisions that they have made. And if you are one of those folks who believes that somebody else is in control of your destiny and somebody else is in charge and somebody else will decide and choose, whether it's the government or your significant other or your family or your friends or your potential customers, if you believe that somebody else is in control of your future, we can't help you, right? Because you will not be willing and able to take the action and the responsibility for making your dream come true. So if you have that victim mentality and you believe that somebody else is in control, we can't help you. If you are completely broke, we can't help you. Now, we show you ways to identify and test business ideas that are very inexpensive. In many cases, don't cost anything at all. But the idea that you can start a business with absolutely zero money is just, it's a myth, right? It simply doesn't exist. And if somebody tells you that they can teach you how to do that, then they're probably just trying to sell you something, because it's not the reality. So if you're on your last dime and you are just trying to make ends meet, we can't help you. This isn't for you. You probably need to focus on kind of getting your finances in order first. So there's also tire kickers. Now, everybody knows that, knows somebody who on Sunday afternoon likes to go to the used car lots or the new car lots and kick the tires on the car and take a look at the cars. They don't have any intention of buying. They just want to look at the cars because they think the cars are nice. They think the cars are interesting. I call those folks tire kickers. Well, we get those same folks here at How to Quit Working, people that come along and they say, oh yeah, this quit your job, start a business stuff, that might be nice. That's interesting. I might want to learn a little bit more about that, but I'm not really serious about it. Folks like that, we can't help you. You've got to be committed. You've got to be 100% in, and you've got to know that this is indeed the lifestyle for you. There's nothing wrong with tire kickers. If you want to walk around and kick the tires here at How to Quit Working, you're more than welcome to do that. There's plenty of stuff that you can kick without paying a dime. We love to have you. And again, like I said, you're more than welcome, but we probably can't really help you be successful. Now, folks who want to get rich quick, we cannot help you either, because there is no way to get rich quick except to have a relative who dies and leaves you a bunch of money. And I don't know how to get you that relative. So get rich quick is not something that we do here. It is not something that anyone can do. And if they tell you that they can, they're probably lying, and they're probably somebody that you should run really quickly from. So lazy people, we cannot help lazy people because this is a lot of work. And particularly if you're starting a business while you are still working your job, you are going to be working really, really hard. And if you use the techniques in How to Quit Working, the great thing about it is you will be working hard, but you will be working hard and you'll be working on the right things. You'll be working on the things that will actually get you the results. This is one of the things that I am militant about in How to Quit Working, is that we get folks working on the things that are going to get them the results, that are going to move their business forward. So you won't waste time, but you do have to do a lot of work. If you're lazy, we're not going to be able to help you. And if you like TV more than life, we're not going to be able to help you. One of the first things that successful entrepreneurs do is they give up television. And I haven't owned a television in, I don't know, 4 or maybe 5 years. It's just not It's not my idea of a good time, and it's not. It's something that unfortunately, as a society, we've begun to rely on as a crutch, right? And we turn to that instead of doing the things that we really enjoy and that we're really passionate about. So those are some folks that we can't help, but let's talk about who we can help, because that's actually more fun to talk about. So if you're working a full-time job, you have specific challenges, right? If you're a 22-year-old with a couple $1 million in venture capital and nothing else to do with your life but work on that business, the way that you approach that business and the way that you build that business is totally different than your situation, which is being a person who has a full-time job and has responsibilities and has things that you've got to do and is really, really busy. The way you approach that is totally different, and that's what we do here at How to Quit Working. Now, if you know there is more to life, if you're one of those folks who's out there and everybody else says, oh yeah, well, that's the way it is, you just work until you retire, and then, maybe you've got a couple years to enjoy life. If you don't accept that, if you reject that, and you know that there's more to life, and you know that life can be better, it can be happier, it can be more exciting than it is in that paradigm that most folks go down, then we can definitely help you. If you are ready to do something about it, we can definitely help you. That's what we do. We help people who are ready to do something about it, and who are not just kicking the tires, who are at that point where they say, you know what, I'm ready. I love it. I hear it. I'm bought in. I like it. I think I know what I want to do. I know that I need some help, but I am ready to do something about it. And if you've been exploring business and entrepreneurship for a while, many of the folks who come to How to Quit Working have already been poking around in this space, right? They've been reading business books. They've been listening to podcasts. They've been reading blogs. They have been maybe watching Shark Tank or other television shows, The Profit, other shows about entrepreneurship, to get more familiar with it and to have a better idea about what it is all about. If you're one of those folks, we can help you. If you are committed to taking action and you're ready to get started and ready to do something real, whether that's just taking action on the techniques that we're going to give you in this webinar, or whether that is joining us in the Shift program and getting more serious about it, either way, if you are committed to taking action, we can definitely help you. And of course, one of the things that I love so much about How to Quit Working is that the law of attraction certainly is in place, because we attract some really great, smart, talented, and motivated people. And if you are still here on this webinar and you have not hung it up yet, or you haven't closed it out, then you are probably one of those smart, talented, and motivated people that we get a lot of here at How to Quit Working, and I am thrilled to have you here with us. Now, there are certain challenges that we help you get past. Now, many folks that come to How to Quit Working, they say, I just don't know where to start. Like I've got these ideas and I got these things I think I want to do, but I'm just not sure how to get started. You aren't a business expert, right? You don't have a ton of knowledge and expertise in business. And of course you don't, because, unfortunately in our society, we don't bother to teach children what is probably the most valuable skill that they could ever have, which is learning how to create value and add value to the world and deliver that value in exchange for money. You don't have a bunch of extra time. This is a really specific challenge for folks who are working a full-time job and starting a business. You're busy folks. It's not just the job and that is taking up your time. You've got other things in your life, whatever that may be, whatever is important to you. You may have a girlfriend, a boyfriend. You may have a family. You may have a house to take care of. You may have some hobbies or extracurricular activities. And you just don't have the luxury of being able to spend tons and tons of time on your business. And that's one of the things that we help you get past. You haven't come up with that $1 billion idea. Well, of course not, right? Because most folks don't have that $1 billion idea. And we're going to talk about ideas and the importance of really putting ideas into perspective and understanding how they really are and are not important in the development of your business. But you don't have to have a $1 billion idea. In fact, you don't have to have any idea to be to get major results with How to Quit Working, because that's one of the things that we do is we help you come up with that idea. Most of all, you have bills to pay and you need the income from your job. Now, this, as I have said a couple times so far on this webinar, this is one of the really key things when it comes to quitting your job and starting a business that is so challenging for folks is, yeah, you got bills, right? I get it. We've all got bills and they don't stop. The electric company and the mortgage company doesn't say, oh, you're starting a business, that's no problem, I'll give you a few extra months to pay. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to keep the money coming in. And that's one of the things that we focus on, is ensuring that you've got that income stream up and running as quickly as possible so that you can make the transition as smoothly as possible. Now, you don't have to gamble. It doesn't have to be like rolling the dice on a roulette table. Now, entrepreneurship will never be without risk. In fact, the word risk is actually part of the definition of entrepreneurship if you look it up in the dictionary. However, there are things that you can do that will keep you from having to risk it all. There's ways that you can validate your business idea. There's ways that you can approach the market in such a way that you get constant feedback along the way, and you always know what the market is thinking, what they're saying about your product, and what their level of interest is, so that you can give them exactly what they want. And when they give you feedback, you can tailor it to that feedback. So you don't have to risk it all. You can prove your idea before you quit your job, so that when you quit your job, you walk in there like I did in 2012, not like I did in 2001 when I completely chickened out. So you can resign with peace of mind. Now, speaking of resigning with peace of mind, that is what we are here to help you do. We're here to give you that peace of mind so that when you walk into your boss's office and you resign, you have the confidence that you know that you've got something that is going to work. Now, I'm going to show you a video. This is a video that I took of myself when I actually resigned from my corporate job for the last time in 2012. My boss was in a different city, so I actually did this over the phone, and I took the opportunity to record it. So here it is. This is me. This was April of 2012, resigning forever.
This is Ron.
Hey, Ron, this is Jeff. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself, Jeff?
Good, good. So I've got a little bit of news for you. I am resigning effective the 13th of April.
Okay.
So Friday the 13th, a week from this Friday, will be my last day.
Okay. I'm assuming you found another opportunity?
Actually, I am. I've been working on my own business for a couple of years now, and it's the time was finally right to make the transition.
Really? Yeah. Wow. I'm very impressed. Happy for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I am incredibly excited. I did not sleep one wink last night. I'll be perfectly honest. This moment is actually a culmination of a lot of plans. So that was the moment that I finally left my job forever. It was such an exciting moment, exciting time in my life, and very different and very stark contrast to 2001. I want to show you a How to Quit Working member of a client and member of our community who also did a video when he resigned from his job. Here is Jason Torres.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Jason here, coming to you from Charleston, about probably 11:30 Eastern time. I don't know how much time I have on the video. I think my memory is full or coming full really quickly. So this video is for Jeff Steinman and everyone in the How to Quit Working community. I made a promise that on the day that I quit my job, which is right now, that I will shoot a video. I don't know if that's going to happen. So if not, I'm going to pick a photo of me clocking out for the last time. But I just quickly wanted to thank Jeff, thank everyone that's been so supportive, and I'm just doing this for those so you can see that what's possible. That you can make a decision to quit your job, and not just to quit your job to sit on your ass, but to quit your job to do work that matters. And so for me, that's to become an entrepreneur, provide value to the marketplace, and do the best work of my life. And I couldn't do that without making the decision to finally quit my job. So Jeff Simon, thank you so much, brother. Thanks for everybody that's believing in me. And for everybody else in the How to Quit Working community, you guys can do the same thing. Take care, take charge, and I'll see you all over the top. Take care. Bye.
Great to see that. That's so much fun. And that's what's possible when you use the techniques in How to Quit Working. We're going to talk a little bit more about some success stories and what can happen when you use these techniques. But let's talk about how to get you there. One of the things that I think is so interesting, and I came across these numbers the other day when I was doing some research, and I found a couple of really interesting statistics. And this is the website. It all came from Forbes.com. But small businesses have generated over 65% of the net new jobs since 1995. Every single month, about 543,000 new businesses get started. Isn't that crazy? Every single month, that's like over 500,000 new businesses get started. Over half, 52% of all small businesses are home-based. That means over half of small businesses are running off of somebody's dining room table or in their basement or spare bedroom. I think that's amazing. When you look at how we normally think about businesses, we think about them as being these giant monoliths and big corporate office parks. But yeah, like over 52% of them are in somebody's home. There was 22.5 million non-employer firms in 2011. And what a non-employer firm means just a company that doesn't have any employees. All right, so they either use outsourcers or maybe they do everything. Maybe it's just a family that does all of the work for the business. Excuse me while I clear my throat. Sorry about that. 22.5 million firms in 2011 that didn't have a single employee. Now, you might be thinking, well, they're probably not making any money. Well, as we get into this, you'll see that that's not the case. Now, 75% of all U.S. businesses are non-employer businesses. 75% of the businesses in the U.S. do not have a single employee. Isn't that crazy? Total revenues from these non-employer businesses hit $989.6 billion. That's with a B in 2011, and over 2 million non-employer businesses made more than $100,000 a year. In fact, 27,000 of them made more than $1 million. If you think that it's not possible, and you think that you can't do this, you think that it's not possible to start a business, look at these numbers again. People are doing it every single day. In fact, 543,000 every single month. And these stats are a little bit old. I believe they are higher now, but I don't have anything actually to back that up. Now, we talk about failure rates, and I know that the biggest thing that most folks say is when they see this is they say, well, Jeff, but don't most businesses fail? Well, they do when they look at it in the traditional sense. And what we're showing you today is we're showing you a different way to look at business that completely changes the way you view failure and turns failure into a path to success. So let's talk about, excuse me, someone who used these techniques very successfully. Now, this is a picture of Daniel Vance. He is a How to Quit Working client who began by reading the book How to Quit Working back in, it was, let's see, late 2013. He read that book, and then early last year in 2014, he joined the How to Quit Working training program. And what was so cool about his story is that when he first came into the program, I asked him about what was he interested in doing. What do you want to do with your life, Daniel? What's the big thing that you're looking to do with your life? And he said, I've been in the restaurant industry for I think like 10 or 12 years, something, a pretty long time, and have done everything from fast food to fine dining. I've had every role in a restaurant, and every kind of a restaurant that you could imagine. And I really, really love this industry. And what I really want to do, my long-term vision, is I want to have a company that goes into struggling or failing restaurants and turns them around, goes into the restaurant and makes the changes that are necessary, fixes the marketing, fixes the processes, fixes the employees, changes the staff, whatever it is that actually is required to make the restaurant successful. I want to be the guy that goes in there and does that, because one of the cores of his passion was really helping these small business owners. For example, it doesn't matter what city you're in. If you walk around, you'll see lots of small restaurants, whether they're little burger stands or various types of ethnic restaurants or fine dining. There's so many family businesses that maybe don't have all of the expertise required to run a successful restaurant. And he really wanted to bring his knowledge and his expertise into that, into those small businesses, and really help those people. And it was really amazing, because when I asked him when he was planning on doing that, he just sort of said, well, I mean, I probably need another like 20 or 25 years of experience before I can do that. And I'm like, really? What I asked him was, I said, so do you know how to do this today? And he's like, well, yeah, I do this every day, because actually at the time he was working for a major fast food company. He doesn't want me to say the name, but you have probably eaten there. And he was going into their struggling restaurants in the region and completely turning them around. So whatever restaurant was the lowest performing in that region, they would send him in, and he would make whatever changes he had to make. If that meant firing people, if that meant changing the marketing, if that meant fixing the procedures, if that meant updating the restaurant, whatever he had to do to get that restaurant performing at a level of profitability, he would do that. So he said, yeah, I know how to do this. I do this every day. And I said, okay, then what's stopping you? And he said, well, I guess I don't know. So he went through the How to Quit Working program and follow the techniques, follow the processes, and first month in business made $7,750, which was really, really amazing. He actually ended up, before he actually made the money, he ended up resigning from his job and focusing full-time on this. He recently told me that he's been approached by investors about opening his own restaurant. And the thing that I think is so cool about that situation is now he's stepping back and saying, you know what, I just don't know if that's what I want to do, because he now has this consulting business that he really loves, that's really successful. He just recently told me about a local celebrity chef that has retained his services. And he's now making decisions based upon what he wants to do, not what his bills are dictating he has to do. Money isn't a problem for Daniel anymore. He gets to make the decisions that he wants to make about how he wants to run his business and how he wants to spend his time. So this is a huge success story. So it's been hugely rewarding to work with Daniel and see the amazing things that have happened and the amazing transformation that's happened in his life. And I want that for you as well. And that's why I'm delivering this webinar and showing you these techniques. And I really hope that you'll do something with it, because Daniel is a testament to what happens when you take this stuff and do it. Now, this is where it gets a little bit crazy, because I'm going to get into some really specific, actionable, tactical stuff, and I'm going to get really frank, honest, and a bit intense as we get into this section. So listen very carefully, because this is the concept that will either make or break your business. This is what makes the difference. You might find out that you are completely on the wrong track. If you have an idea or you have something that you're already moving down a path, you might find out that you are completely on the wrong track. So be prepared for that. Now, we will not get everything in because there is just not enough time, but you will get the basic idea. And if this resonates, then you can go farther with us at the end. So let's really get into it. And let's start by talking about ideas. The first thing you have to do with ideas is forget about them. Ideas are irrelevant. They may or may not work. If you study the infomercial industry, you'll learn that whenever you see an infomercial on TV, that infomercial probably cost in the neighborhood of 100,000 or more to create. And if that's before you even purchase the airtime that's just to produce the infomercial. That's not to pay for the airtime to put it on. That's not, we haven't even talked about inventory, right? Because before you put the Snuggie on an infomercial, you have to have a warehouse with a couple 100,000 of those things, right? So this is a very huge, high stakes game. And even if you think infomercials are annoying and stupid, the fact of the matter is they work. But what there is no guarantee of is whether the product or the idea that they're selling is any good or not. For every infomercial that you see on your TV, for every one that reaches a level of notoriety that you would actually see it, much less supreme success, like the Snuggie or Video Professor or the Pillow Pet or big ones like that, whether even ones that achieve moderate success, even ones that make it to your television, for every one of those, there are 9 more that completely went on the scrap heap. You have the best and brightest business people and marketers and entrepreneurs in this game, in this infomercial industry. And the fact of the matter is they don't know what's going to work any better than you do. And the way that they find out what works is they try stuff. They try different things. They pilot in small markets, and it still costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out if their idea works. Now, that's an example of a very large, high-stakes industry, and I give that example for 2 reasons. Number one, to show you that even the people in that big, major, high-stakes industry don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And number two, to let you know that since you're not in that industry, there are ways that you can much more easily and quickly and very inexpensively figure out if your ideas are going to work. And you have to give up the idea that you know what's going to work. If you're sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I've got this idea and I just think it's going to be great, you've got to forget about it. You've got to go out and you've got to find out from the people who are actually going to buy if they think that idea is any good or not. And stop thinking in your head, stop talking around the water cooler and around the table. These conversations drive me nuts because people are always telling me, when you're the guy that's got a book called How to Quit Working, people find out and they always want to tell you about their great business ideas. And it drives me insane because the fact of the matter is nobody knows. You don't know. The best and the brightest people in the industry don't know what's going to work or not. So if you want to be successful, quit thinking about those ideas and think about getting in front of the people who can tell you if those ideas are going to work or not. And that's the approach that we're talking about here. And once you've gotten in front of those people and you've had those conversations with people and you've said, okay, what about this? What about that? What do you think of this? Hey, would you actually will you actually give me some money for this thing? That's when you have a proven product or service. And that's what we're going to talk about how to do here in this very simple 3-step process. Now, there's 3 things that you've got to do to really be sure that you've got an idea. Now, the first thing is determine the value. What is the value that you bring to the world? What is the thing of value that you have that the world is already looking to you for help with? Find problems. Where in the arena of that value that you provide, what problems do people have? What do people struggle with? What are they looking for help with? What will they actually pay money to get help with? And then finally, you create a hypothesis. And that is the step where you say, okay, there's some value, there's some problems. What can we possibly sell here? Now let's get into more detail because I know that's a very high level. So the first thing is determining your value. So ask yourself this question: what is it that people ask for your help with? When people call you up and they say, hey, would you give me your opinion on this? Would you tell me about that? Would you look at my this? Would you come over and help me with the other? Whatever it is, what do people ask for your help with? Also ask yourself, what does your employer pay you to do? This may or may not lead you to something. It's okay, right? And there's a couple things I'd say on this one. And the first one is the fact that your employer gives you money to do this thing indicates that there is some sort of value there somewhere, obviously, right? So there is something that employer sees in you that is of value to them, and they are willing to put their money where their mouth is and give you that paycheck. Now, I know you don't want to continue to work for somebody else and draw that paycheck, but you do want to be able to successfully make money and be able to deliver value to the world. So when you look at what your employer pays you to do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take that very thing and turn it into a business. It means that you need to look at it and say, okay, what is the real true value that I'm providing here? What is the thing that I am able to do for this employer that no one else can do? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you're a customer service representative, that then your business is going to be about being a customer service representative. If you're an engineer, then you're going to start an engineering business. It just means that you've got to get really in tune to what other people are seeing in you, and what an employer pays you to do is a really important indicator of what other people see in you. Now, when people ask for your advice, what do they ask for your advice about? What do they want your help with? What do people already say? This guy, this gal has got some really good expertise, knowledge, insights, whatever it is in this area. What is that particular area? And the one example that I give a lot is parenting. So maybe you are just a really phenomenal parent. Maybe you've raised a couple of kids that are really smart. They get really good grades. They are really well behaved. They always sit still, and they're just great kids. And people are always asking you, what is it that you do? How have you raised such wonderful kids? And that is an area that could potentially be your value. Now, that is just one example. There is an infinite number of areas in which you provide value to the world. Now, where do people need help? It's one thing to provide value, but let's take that parenting example. If you were to come to me and ask me if I need your help with parenting, I would say, well, no, because I don't have any kids. So I am not somebody who can be helped in that area. I am not somebody who would be a customer of any sort of a parenting class or any sort of a product or any sort of a service as it relates to parenting ever, right? So you have to look at where is it that there is an alignment of that expertise in people that need help. So where are people looking for an improvement in their life, business, relationships, or et cetera, or anything else? Now, me, I don't have that parenting issue, but who might need help with parenting? Well, parents. Okay, so this is where you look for, where are the people that might need that? What are they struggling with? What are the problems that they are having? Is it that their children perhaps are not getting good grades in school, and that's because they don't sleep well at night, because you have trouble getting them to sleep, and perhaps you need help getting them to go to sleep, and perhaps you have an idea for how to do that, or perhaps you have a way to make that happen. But you've got to get really in tune with what they're struggling with and what they are working really hard to figure out, and what is really, really important to them. What is really important to these parents? Well, what's really important to them is they want to create little human beings that grow up and end up being really amazing grown-up adults. So you've got to be really closely in tune with what is extremely, extremely important to these people who need this help. And again, I really encourage you, you've got to crack your mind wide open on this. You've got to stop thinking in a limited way. You've got to stop thinking about products and services. You got to stop thinking about ideas, and you've got to change your thinking to be, where can I provide value? And where do people need help as it relates to that value? And again, in Daniel's case, that was restaurants. He knew that he knows how to run a successful restaurant. He knows how to do that. He can do it all day long. And the thing that he was able to say was, well, who needs that help? Well, single parents? No, they don't have a restaurant. Restaurant owners. That was the very simple answer for him. And as his business has matured, he has reached a point where he is getting much more specialized in what he does, and he is drilling down and getting more specific and getting better clients and making more money, because he's really getting that further and further dialed in. But remember, you don't have to have that dialed in right away. You can do that over time. The important thing now is getting it narrowed down to that degree where you can start to make some progress and get some feedback. So speaking of feedback, this is where you gather information. Now that you understand, where's that place that I can provide some value, where do people need some help? Now you start to talk to people. You use networking, social media, friends and family, local groups, meetups are great. Many times, churches or civic organizations have groups where people get together and talk about things that they might be interested in, and that may be in alignment with an area where you provide value. The most important thing here is to get out there and talk. And when I say that, I mean have conversations, not really talking, actually listening, asking people questions, asking people about what is it that they are really struggling with in that area? What do they need help with? What is really important to them? Getting obsessed with getting feedback and understanding those problems that people have, so that you can very specifically address those problems and very specifically come up with something that they are interested in purchasing, paying you money for, that will get them the results that they're looking for. And then finally, you sell it. Now let's talk a little bit more about what you sell. When you look at the value that you provide in the world, and then you look at the problems that people have, there is that point of intersection. And that point of intersection is your hypothesis. And that is what you go out and sell. When you know that you have problems out here that are like this, and you understand that, right? Because you've been having those conversations, you understand what those problems are. You understand what is important to the people that have those problems, and you also understand the solution that you're able to provide. Those things intersect, and where they intersect is your hypothesis. And now you go out and you sell that thing. You have to ask people if they want to buy it. And this is important because you have to create a situation where you begin selling it as quickly as possible. This kind of blows folks' minds when I say this, but this whole process really should take no more than 30 days. Ideally, you can do it in about 2 weeks, but you've got to get out there and you've got to sell it, because that is the only way that you know that you're going to find out if it is going to work, which is why you have to do it very, very fast. Get out there and sell it quickly. And here's the fact of the matter. A validated business idea is money. When somebody says to you, yep, I like it, I am going to pay you money for that, that is when you know that you have got something successful. And that is what is so extremely valuable. And that is not what most people do when they start a business. What do? They go out and they get a logo and they put up a fancy website, and then they create accounts on 17 different social media sites and start posting a bunch of garbage out there that nobody probably cares about, because there is no validated business idea. Now, when you do this, you've got to remember that people may not buy it. People may look at you and say, that makes no sense to me, and I don't want that at all. That's the reality of it. You have to forget about failure. You have to realize that the first time you do this, the first time you go through this process, it's probably not going to work. You're probably not going to get any buyers that first time. The second time, you still may not get any buyers. But the second time, what happens is you start to get a better feel for it. You start to get a better feel for the landscape. You get a better feel for what people might be looking for. And then the third time, people still may not buy it the third time. But the third time, something kind of magical happens. The third time, you really kind of understand the marketplace. You really kind of start to understand what's going on, what do people really want, what do people really need, and you're starting to understand really well how you can fit into that. And that's where you are beginning to get the seed of this idea that is going to be hugely successful and that people do indeed want. You have to forget about failure. You have to forget about failure and quit thinking about failure like it's this giant, massive, crazy, horrible thing that is going to redefine you and it's going to destroy you and it's going to be the end of the world, because that is how we are trained in our unfortunate society to think about failing, when in reality, failing is just one step towards success. The reason that I frame it up this way is to say that this is the reality of how it works. This is the reality of how you start a business. This is how every successful business was started. The thing that we do in How to Quit Working that is different is that we focus on getting to the successful product or service really, really quickly. And that means really changing how we think about failure and knowing that it's simply a necessary step towards success, and realizing that we're not going to create some big structure around something that may or may not work. Rather, we're going to begin by identifying what will work. And then once we have something that does work, then we'll build a structure around it. And that is the way that you avoid wasting a whole lot of time. That is a way that you are able to build something that you know is going to be successful. Now, that is the meat of how you start a business, and if you want to actually make money really, really quickly. And that is the exact technique that Daniel Vance used to make $7,750 his first month in business. And that was not even with a full-time effort. That was with a part-time effort. So I wanted to also give you a bonus tip. Now, if in the Shift program, we also include the high performance module, which is one of the coolest things I think I've ever created in my life. I'm so pleased with how it came out because it's such great information. But this is just one bonus tip from that. And the tip is this: start off each and every day by determining the 3 things that will move you forward more than anything else. And I mean, put 3 things on your to-do list that are supremely important and that will move you towards your goal more than anything else, and put them on your list because of that reason. Not because it's a nice thing to do, not because somebody told you to do it, not because you think you should, quote unquote, do it, but because you know that thing will move you forward towards your goal more than anything else. Make those 3 things your top priority. Do not go to bed until you've done them. Make them your highest priority, do them, and then finally end your day by crossing those things off of your list. That is a habit that if you form that habit, your life will change forever. If you do that very thing every single day for the rest of your life will never be the same, and you will be more successful than you could ever imagine. That's why you stuck with me this long, and I felt like I wanted to give you this bonus tip from the high performance module of the Shift program. Now, I want to talk about a couple of the problems. So one of the things that people say is like, well, if it's this simple, why doesn't everybody just do it? Well, there's a couple of issues. Number one, schools don't teach you business. You've got to understand the fundamentals of business, which I gave you a huge chunk of today, but there's a whole heck of a lot more that you need to know and understand in order to have a successful business. Schools don't teach it to you. These fundamentals are what really makes the difference. And then secondly, you're surrounded by people who either don't support you or don't know how to support you. If you have people around you who have the job mentality and believe that getting a job and working that job is the only way to live a successful life and to live and to sustain themselves in life and to create the income that they need, they simply won't support you, because they think that by starting a business that you are jumping off a cliff. They think that you are driving your car right over the edge of a cliff. And then there's other people who do support you and they want to support you, but they just don't know how to support you. And that sometimes manifests itself in terms of well-meaning but bad business advice. And one of the worst things that you can do is take business advice from people who mean well but don't really know what they're talking about. And when you start a business, you will find that everybody who you are around has an opinion about how you should be running your business. So what we did was we created this program called Shift. And Shift is basically we've created that program to solve those two problems. And we packed everything that you need to make the shift from being a full-time employee to being an entrepreneur into this program. We give you the business knowledge that you need to be successful and the community that you need to support you. You need to have a place to go where you can say, I'm just having a bad day and I'm frustrated and I need somebody to talk to about it. And if you go to the wrong people, which is probably your friends and family, and you look for that support, they're going to tell you things like, well, maybe you should just quit. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should just stay at your job. Or they might even say things a little bit meaner, like, I told you shouldn't start that business. And that's not what you need to be successful. In fact, that is what you need to keep working your job. If you want to keep working a full-time job, keep hanging around and keep being in a community of people who believe that that is the only way and believe that that is what you should be doing. Now, let me tell you about what we got included in the Shift program. So the first thing is the training, and there's 6 business building modules designed to give you the exact fundamentals that you need in order to be successful. Number 1, the first module is design your life in business. We know that everybody who comes to How to Quit Working has a larger goal in mind. There is something more that you want out of life, whether that is time with your family, whether that's travel, whether that's a cause or something that you want to work towards. Or maybe you just want to lay on a hammock and watch football all the time. Whatever the thing is that is important to you, that is the reason why you want to start a business. So the first thing that we do is we design your life and your business in such a way that it will support that thing that is most important to you. There's nothing worse than designing a business that becomes your life. It actually ends up being the worst of both worlds. You have to design your life first and then a business that fits around that. Second thing we do is product creation. All that stuff that we talked about identifying that product is what we do in this program, only we do it on a much larger scale. We do a lot more of it. And we do it in a lot more detail than what you saw on this webinar. So we get you to that point where you've got that product or service that you know people want, and you already have people lined up at your door, customers with their wallets out, ready to purchase it before you quit your job. Now, in 2015, you would be crazy to not take advantage of the online world. So we teach you how to do online marketing and launch products online, as well as business creation. So there's a lot of basic things that you have to understand and put in place when you're starting a business. It's really important to ensure that, for one thing, you're pricing your products appropriately, not pricing them just so low that they'll sell, but pricing them in such a way that they will allow you to leverage and scale your business in the future. It's just one example of many concepts that we talk about in the business creation module. We also talk about marketing and promotion. What's one of the biggest things that makes people say, oh, I don't know if I want to start a business? Well, they're scared of marketing is generally one of the things that stops people. And we'll show you how marketing and promotion isn't something that has to be scary and bad. It's something that can actually be fun and exciting and enjoyable. So we have a whole module on that. And then finally, automating and growing your business is what you do once you've got that once you've got that product or service in place, you've got some customers, you've left your job, and you really want to take it to the next level, this is where we show you how to do that. Now, we also include a fill-in-the-blank workbook. And the great thing about this is the entire How to Quit Working system is broken down into really simple fill-in-the-blank worksheets. You just walk through there, you go through the training modules, and you'll have the concepts. You fill in the information in the worksheets, and you end up with a really cool, fully complete business plan. You get the whole workbook, physical and electronic, so you can do it electronically or you can write it in physically, however, whatever you prefer, however you want to do it. You just fill in the blanks to create your business. Next, you get access to a mastermind community. This is the part that is really different than anything else that's out there. So you get access to an online community to deepen your understanding of the concepts that you find in the training through facilitated conversations. So we have regular facilitated conversations. Heather, the How to Quit Working coach, and I are out there, and we are asking you pointed questions. We are working with you to ensure that the concepts that you are learning in the training, that you're understanding them, and that you're applying them specifically to your situation. So Heather and I are in the group all the time to answer your questions, provide feedback, or whatever you need. Anytime you have anything that you need, you just post it in the forum, and we will be right on top of it. Now, you get a new peer group. So you get a group of people who think like you, people who want the same things out of life that you want. And this is so valuable because, as I said earlier, when you are struggling with your business, you can go to one of two people. You can go to somebody who's going to say, see, I told you that wasn't going to work. You better just go back to your job. Or you can go to people who will say, you know what, just stick with it because I think I know what's wrong. I think we can just tweak this. We can change this. We can make it successful. People who want the same thing out of life that you do and have the same goals that you do and the same set of values that you do. Now, you also get a business book shipped to you each and every month as long as you remain in the Shift program. And what we do is we discuss the book in the group to facilitate deeper understanding of the concepts. Now, every successful entrepreneur is somebody who is a voracious reader. We all read a lot because we're always looking to understand things more, to understand things better, and to take our knowledge, expertise, and understanding of the world to another level. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be one of those voracious readers. Now, you're also going to make new friends. You might even create some cool new business relationships in the group. You get a monthly Google Hangout where you can ask any questions that you'd like, get any support that you may need. You also get access to an online area where you can enter your goals and be held accountable by your peers and Heather and I. So if you have a goal to achieve something by a certain date, you will be held accountable to that. And we'll ask you, hey, did you meet that goal? And if you did, that's great. We're here to cheer you on. If not, we'll ask you why not? And what can we do to support you and help you to ensure that you meet that next goal? You'll also be paired with an accountability partner who you can work with as you mutually agree upon to support and encourage and hold each other accountable. So this is somebody that you can work with and who will, you guys decide how you want to work together, whether it's email or Skype or phone, or maybe you just want to just text back and forth, whatever it is that the two of you decide is appropriate and that you want to do together, then that is what you can do. But you basically have a business building buddy, somebody who is also in the program, somebody who has the idea that they want to accomplish the same thing and they want to see you be successful as well. Now, I want to read some testimonials from you, from people who've been through the program. Now, Mary Ayers in San Francisco says, honestly, I don't usually bother to review courses that I purchased, but this one was definitely different. I was on the fence about it and wasn't quite sure if it would end up producing what it promised, but it turns out it did. Not only does the material definitely live up to the promises, but the way this guy teaches the stuff is amazing. It's just very motivating and inspiring. Very down to earth and accessible. I I can't wait to keep making more progress on my budding business. Sure to increase your profits. This is an excellent course with loads of useful information. Thank you, Jeff. Highly recommend. I did just get an update from Mary recently since this testimonial, and she is doing some really great stuff with her business there in San Francisco. And then she's got a lot of really great stuff coming up in the future as well. Now, Ted Manassa in Austin, Texas says, a couple of years ago, I was chained to a cubicle, making money for the man, but not making anything meaningful for myself. All that changed after I went through the How to Quit Working program. Now I run my own company, helping small businesses figure out what makes them different and better than everyone else. It is the most meaningful work I've ever done. If you believe that you only have one life to live, you need to know, and you know you need to make the most of it. So join the How to Quit Working program. You'll never look back. Now, what is all this worth? Now, the online training, lots of folks sell stuff that is comparable, but not as good because it doesn't get down to the fundamentals like we do for $2,000. That stuff sells all day at that price. The mastermind community, you'll easily pay $3,000 for that. I've paid as much as $7,000 for a similar community, bringing the total to about $5,000 worth of stuff, very conservatively. Now, today we are offering this for only $997 for your registration fee, and then $297 per quarter after that. So $997 gets you the training and gets you in. That also includes your first quarter. And then after that, you'll be billed $297 per quarter to remain in the mastermind community. Now, you can register now at howtoquitworking.com/shift. Again, it's howtoquitworking.com/shift. But if you act now, I'm going to offer 50% off of your registration, and that is just $497 today. And then you'll just pay $297 per quarter after that. So the $497 today will get you your registration, all the training, everything that I talked about, and membership in the community, the mastermind community, for 3 months or 1 quarter. And then you will be billed $297 per quarter after that. If you want to take advantage of that 50% off registration, when you go to checkout at howtoquitworking.com/shift, just enter webinar 328. That has to be in all caps, webinar 328, WEBINAR 328 at checkout. So go to howtoquitworking.com/shift. When you click join now, you'll be taken to a payment page. And on that page, you can enter webinar 328 in all caps. Also, want to let you know that you have a 100% money back guarantee. So for the first 30 days, if for any reason you decide that it is not for you, that you're not interested, that you don't think it's going to help, whatever reason that you may have, you have 30 days to request a full 100% money back guarantee. Just send us an email and we will refund your money in the first 30 days. Now, we have a couple fast action bonuses. So for folks who join right now on the webinar, you'll get 3 things. So the first thing you'll get is a 30-minute one-on-one live coaching session. We recommend that you go through, get at least through the first couple of modules and participate in the group for a month or so. Then just email us at support@howtoquitworking.com and we'll get that scheduled. You'll talk to either Heather or I about your business for 30 minutes. We'll give you some feedback and we'll help get you pointed in the right direction. We can usually shave several months, if not years, off of your business journey just in this 30-minute session, just by redirecting you a little bit in the beginning. You'll also get the advanced sales training module. Now, one of the things that really scares folks about starting a business is this whole idea of selling. I'm scared to sell. I don't want to sell. I'm not good at selling. Selling. It's a very bad and negative sounding thing in our world, but it doesn't need to be that way. It's actually really simple. It's really simple, and when you're doing it right, it can be really fun. So that you'll also get access to the advanced sales training module. You'll also get the high performance training module. And the high performance training module is really for people who want to achieve really big things in their life. And when you look at world leaders and you look at high performing athletes and successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, anybody who has had an extreme amount of success in their life, you'll find that there are certain things that they do differently than everybody else in the world. And you are going to get all of those things in the high performance training module. And it's really quite amazing. It really packs the tools and techniques of the most successful people in the entire world into a very simple and brief module of training that, if you do all of the things in that module, will completely change your life forever. So those are the bonuses that you get if you join right here, right now on the webinar. If you have any questions, type them into the chat. We will get you an answer as quickly as we possibly can. You can also email jeff@howtoquitworking.com. I want to read another testimonial. This is from Carol Griesemeyer in Oregon City. Carol says, with all the hype going on faster than the speed of light, this plan is simple, logical, and easy to follow. When you don't have a lot of time, it allows you to work through the process as you can and see the results and feel successful. Very well thought out. You don't have to make yourself crazy. I feel like this one I can do. Carol's doing some really exciting things. And then you've got Diana Dentinger in Turin, Italy. Diana says the How to Quit Working system is just so clear and structured. It helped me to create an internet business. It is so simple and easy to follow. You really can see the progress day by day. As a single mom of 4, I needed it to be simple, and the system helped me to understand how to structure everything so I can get the work done and still be free to do things like attend my daughter's first violin concert, which I did just today, knowing that my business was running without me. Diane is an amazing woman in Turin who's doing some really cool things. So exciting to have been a part of her journey, and I love that she's able to put the things that she really cares about, like being there for her daughter, at the center of her life. 50% off registration if you act now. That's $497 today, $297 per quarter. Just use the code webinar328 at checkout. It does have to be in all caps, so make sure that you put it in all capital letters, WEBINAR 328. You can get registered over at howtoquitworking.com/shift. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. It has been my pleasure to talk to you and to deliver this great information to you. I want to see you in Shift, because I know that you're sitting out there and you're thinking, okay, I've been studying this stuff. I've been watching these webinars. I've been listening to these podcasts. What's next, right? When am I going to get to the point where I'm actually doing something? And that's what we do in Shift. Shift is for people who are really serious, who are really ready to get results. And when you do the things that are in this program, you get results. You've seen that. You've seen the testimonials. You've seen the success stories that I've shown you. You have not only me at your disposal, but probably more importantly, you have Heather Osgood, our How to Quit Working coach, who has recently sold a nearly $1 million business and decided that helping other people to create that huge success is what she wants to do with her life. And there's no question that we can get you there if you join us and if you do the work that's required to get there. Starting a business is something that so many people want, and it's something that so many people don't think is possible. And we're here to give you everything that you need to be successful. We can do this. We can make you successful. And I want to see you be successful. I want to see you have the success like Daniel, like Jason, like the people that you've seen in the webinar and like the examples that you've seen. Those people, while I do think that they are really wonderful, smart, talented people, they're no more wonderful, no more smart, no more talented than you. They're people just like you. The difference between them and you is that they took action. They invested in themselves. They said, you know what, I'm serious. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to make this happen. Make it happen. Go over to howtoquitworking.com/shift. Take advantage of this special 50% off discount that I'm offering on this webinar. Enter webinar, WEBINAR 328 in the promo code field and get in at 50% off and get in and join the amazing community. I can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to talk to you. I cannot wait to see you inside the Shift program so that we can get your business off the ground and get your life to be everything that you've ever wanted it to be. This stuff works. I've shown you examples that it works. I've shown you people that it's worked for. I've shown you what people think about the program after they go through it. I don't know why you wouldn't join. Go over to howtoquitworking.com/shift, enter webinar 328 as the discount code, and I will see you inside of Shift. Also, if you have any questions before you join, feel free to give me a call at 314-265-0015. Again, 314-265-0015. Give me a call. I look forward to seeing you inside Shift. You can also email me at jeff@howtoquitworking.com. I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you inside Shift.